If you're a nerd in your 40s and you feel like your best years are behind you, I would like to talk to you today. Because I think that that feeling is lying to you, and I want to spend a few minutes showing you why. I just turned 40 this week, so this one's personal. My name is Doc, and welcome to the Guiding Lantern. Here's something no one told you when you were younger. All of those hours you spent in front of a screen playing video games, at a table with dice in your hand, lost inside a story that no one else seemed to care about, all of that was doing something. It was shaping you. I know what that feels like. My dad got me a NES when I was little, and I was pretty much so the only nerdy kid where I grew up. I used to go to the local video rental store and pick out different games, and one time I saw this Super Mario game called Super Mario RPG for my Super Nintendo that I eventually got, which is its own story. And I played my first RPG the whole way through. Well, actually I had to rent it over a couple of weekends and hope that my save was still there. And when I finally beat it and Gino leaves at the end of the game, I cried. I cried over a wooden puppet in a video game. And I'm not embarrassed about that story because that story, even though it was so very simple, it meant something to me. It meant something incredible to take Mario on this huge adventure and beat these giant bosses that I never thought I would be able to defeat as a kid. I finally figured it out. You wanna know what the first word I ever learned to spell was? It was pause. Pause, which often appeared on the screen when you were playing a Nintendo game. But with all of the gaming that I did as a kid and a young teen, I really didn't have anybody to talk to about it. I didn't have anybody to really share with that I just beat Mega Man 6, which was one of the hardest games I ever beat at like 10 or 11. I was so proud of my accomplishment. The same thing happened when Lord of the Rings Fellowship of the Ring came to theaters. I went alone. I watched Fellowship by myself that first time, and it was one of the best experiences of my life. I walked out into the parking lot though with nowhere to put any of it. Maybe you know that feeling, that thing you love so much that you didn't have words for it, and you had nobody around to share it with anyway. That capacity, that depth, is not something to be ashamed of. It was something that was being built in you whether you knew it or not. And it's not just a feeling. Researchers Bowman and Lieberoth, writing for Routledge in 2018, said this: "Our cognitive processing of fictional constructs, say an RPG character, is highly similar to that with actual ones, which may be the reason why engaging with fictions can lead to increased capabilities for empathy, understanding, and taking on the perspectives of others." You don't need to defend how you've spent your time growing up. This research and more proves it. Every character that you played, every decision you've made inside of a game, every story that genuinely wrecked you, that was your brain building something real. Empathy, perspective, the ability to understand how people think and why they do what they do. One of the things I want to point out is that there is a difference between just consuming a story passively and letting it positively impact you. The people who get the most out of fictional works are the ones who really pay attention to what's going on. If you've been doing that, even without knowing, you were still and are being formed. Every single point of that counted. But there's another thing that I want to talk about that I feel like nerds do not want to talk about. And turning 40, it's something I'm really feeling, and it's the body, the hardware. I have, up until this point, built my entire life around sitting. And at some point, the hardware starts throwing out error messages, and eventually you really should not click dismiss. I know that I am overweight. I've known it for a long time. And at 40, I'm done pretending like it's not an issue. Here's what I have been doing about it for a while now. I'm walking almost every single day. It's nothing dramatic, it's just walking. Small, consistent things that I can do, no fancy gym memberships, nothing like that. I'm just walking. Because as nerds, we know that those side quests, those small, consistent side quests build up into lots of XP and lots of gold. The same is true in our lives. And maybe your hardware problem doesn't look like mine. Maybe it's sleep, maybe it's stress, maybe it's a chair that you haven't left longer than you would be willing to admit. Whatever it is, you have invested too much into who you are to let your hardware fail now. You've got to take care of it. As I turned 40, I realized that I am more capable, I am more stable, I am more responsible than I've ever been. And so that actually allows me to enjoy all of my hobbies and all of my interests with even more capacity and passion. But there's a couple of things that I had to figure out first, and the first one was relationships. For years, I have regularly wanted to find people to play Dungeons and Dragons with. And for years, I just didn't do it. I didn't search, I didn't look. And really with online gaming and the ability to play over Discord and things like that, there's no excuse. There's a table out there for you. You just need to go after it, much like I did. Now I play in a campaign that meets every other week. I sign up for one-shots and small arcs whenever I get the chance to because I really, really love playing Dungeons and Dragons. It's made me a better thinker, it's made me a better speaker, it's made me a better professor. For the last couple of years, I've decided I'm just gonna stop wanting it and I'm gonna start going after it. And there's a second thing that I want to talk about that I think is very important, and it's the backlog. We all have a backlog of games that we have not played, whether it's a physical library or sitting on a hard drive. We have a backlog of Kickstarter projects that we haven't even opened yet. We have a backlog of books on our nightstand or on our Kindle that we haven't read. And it's time to start going after that backlog. And here's why. You have spent a lot of money investing in all these things that you love, and there's always going to be something new and shiny to chase out there. And it's really, really important that you are spending responsibly and spending for the future. One of the things that I have done intentionally over the years is I've never gone into debt for anything except for my mortgage. And that has slowed down my ability to get nice, shiny new things. It's really helped me make and reach financial goals. Because let's face it, if you're a nerd and you're in your 40s, you need to be thinking about the future more than you ever have now. I know it's hard, I know it's challenging, but you need to do it. The new shiny thing will always be there, but you have so many things that you could be playing and that you could be doing and waiting on that new shiny thing to get a little bit cheaper or until you've had an opportunity to save up for it. You don't have to have the new thing whenever it comes out. I know, blasphemous, but you don't. The other disillusion, I suppose, or negative thing about turning 40 that I really want you to get out of your head is that your life is half over. It's not true. You are going to, if you do it right, live the best next 10, 20, 30 years of your life than you did before. Every story has 3 acts. Act 1 is the setup. Here's the world, here's the person, here's the problem. Act 3 is the resolution, the dust settling. Who did this person become? Act 2 is where the story actually happens, where everything gets harder and the character finds out who they really are. If you're a nerd in your late 30s and early 40s, you are sitting firmly at the beginning of Act 2. I mentioned that I saw Fellowship of the Ring alone as a teenager in theaters. You know where Act 2 really begins in that story? It begins when the Fellowship breaks up. Everything falls apart. Boromir fails, Frodo goes off with Sam into the most dangerous part of the journey, and it's heartbreaking, but it's the moment where everything becomes extraordinary. Aragorn steps up, characters who were just interested in Act 1 become genuinely heroic in Act 2. And breaking the Fellowship isn't the end of the story, it's where the real story begins. You are at the start of Act 2. There's a voice that shows up around 40 that sounds calm and reasonable, and it says, "Oh, your best days are behind you. You're managing the decline now." That voice sounds wise and mature. But don't confuse seriousness for maturity. Getting older does mean making wise choices, not giving up on whimsy and fun. That voice is lying to you. Stepping into Act 2 does cost us something though. We have to push away a lot of that rejection and that hurt that we felt, process it properly as a young nerd, and realize that today there are all sorts of different places and people who want to be around other nerds. Let's push away that isolationism that sometimes we are known for and embrace community, because there is so much out there. So here's where I actually am at 40. I'm walking every day. I found a great group of people to play Dungeons and Dragons with regularly. I'm making smarter decisions about money and time and what actually deserves my attention. And I don't have it all figured out, but I'm working on it just like you are. Nobody's perfect, but we do need to continue to work and quest and build together. The experiences that you had in your teens and your 20s and your 30s, building up and playing games and spending time doing nerdy things, those were valuable. Don't let anybody take that away from you. all the nerdy things count, my friend. And I'm sure there's many things, particularly when it comes to strategy and things like that, that I'm not even talking about today. You are not at the end of the story. You are not in decline. You are not behind. You are geared up. You have everything Act 2 needs. The question is, what are you going to do with it? And one more thing. I hope that everything that you're carrying going into 40, I hope that you set down what's holding you back and pick up something that propels you into the future, even tomorrow.